Alola! I'm the official name rater. My job is to look through the first page of Google, review the nicknames provided by the internet, and then give my recommendations at the end. Today we're looking at our final starter, Popplio, Brionne, and Primarina. And as usual, we've started all three starters with Ranker, might as well keep it going. I'll acknowledge Melody. I don't particularly care for it as a nickname at all. I actually think it's quite bland and not interesting, but we're going to see a lot of the music and singing motif in this episode, I can already imagine. So for the sake of it, we're throwing a blanket over it. We're saying, hey, if you can think of it and you think that fits, sure, that's fine. There's going to be some that I think are probably going to be more interesting than others, but this to me is not interesting. Symphony being another example of just that. Neptune will acknowledge. I know it's kind of cheating because they're specifically referring to Roman gods, so it's the same thing as Poseidon, but Neptune, you can at least turn the other cheek and say, hey, look, there's a Neptune in the sky. It's over there, like a few light years away. Just a few. Not too many. It's pretty close by. But, planet-based nicknames I'm fine with. Siren I actually do have written down, and I don't know, I'm half and half on it, because on one hand it's like, I get it and I like it, but at the same time I'm like, yeah, but it's also very bland and it's basically what you're basing it off of, because although I'm not entirely sure, I don't know the Pokedex entry and lore reason behind it, but I do feel like it is a mermaid that is known for singing and probably dragging people to their death in typical mermaid fashion, so, Marin, however, is probably the first one we've actually seen that I think is any good. That, I'm assuming here, making an ass of you and me, is going to be based off of Link's Awakening, because that, to me, is just what would make sense. I'll talk about these two just for the sake of it. I don't Kingdom Hearts or Fire Emblem, so if you think either one of them will work, feel free to let me know, but just for the sake of having something here, we'll talk about something I know nothing about, and maybe it might appeal to somebody else. Soprano and tenor being more music, noise, sound-based nicknames. Food-based nicknames are okay. I don't know if I'd agree that Bubblegum would probably be the best choice for Primarina, but hey. Rather than calling it Getty, just call it Getty Lee. Believe it or not, this will fit the character limit. I don't know why, but I don't understand it. Like, I could understand if it was some sort of really long first name, like, oh, I want to name mine Steven Hasselhoff. Like, yeah, you're not going to be able to fit all this. But this is fucking 8 letters, dude. What's your excuse? Just call the damn thing Getty Lee. I'll acknowledge Kala Maria. Just, I don't know. To me, I look at it and I just kind of think of Callie and Mari from Splatoon, because it's very clearly a similar pun, but it's something different, and I gotta be real. The results I'm seeing on Primarina are all very fucking pathetic and cringe right now. I'm getting very disappointed. I can't help but want to acknowledge Optimus Primarina. That's stupid. I applaud you for trying. Alright, well, just because I see Aquafina here, and it's relevant because I know we saw this in a previous episode, I remember which one! Aquafina and Dazani are automatically going to become better nicknames than probably anything else we've really realistically seen today. Just throwing that one out there if you want some generic water-type nicknames. Alright, I kind of want to go over this one just because it's interesting to see stuff like this. So first we will go over Nehru because the idea of the goddesses of Hyrule has been a recurring trend we've seen in lots and lots of different episodes, and the starters are an easy pairing if you wanted to do each starter as a goddess of Hyrule, which interestingly enough, I just finished playing Wind Waker recently, and they never use the word goddess once, they say god. Fun thing. Nepti, which is basically just Neptune in a different way, a boss from Quest 64. That's an interesting one because first of all, I never hear anyone talk about Quest 64 because it's kind of just unanimously considered a bad game, but also it's a funny half-assed attempt at a name. But the thing I'm most attracted to here is the amount of Fire Emblem we're seeing recently, and I feel like a lot of that is because these Pokemon are newer 2016 Pokemon, and at this point we're reaching like this new level of height of popularity with Fire Emblem to where things from Fire Emblem are frequently getting brought up in Pokemon nicknames. It's kind of interesting because you don't see that a lot with the older Pokemon because, it's a product of its time. So it's kind of fun to see this while going through Alola now. Alright, I'm going to acknowledge this one just because I'm tired of fucking seeing it. It should have been painfully obvious, but the reason I haven't mentioned Ariel is because Ariel's just a generic fucking name. I've gone to school with Ariels. It's not interesting. I understand, Little Mermaid, ha 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 ha. That's great. You want to name your fucking Crobat Bob while you're at it? No, because that's a fucking stupid idea and a bad choice for a name. Sorry, you want to do it? That's cool. You're allowed to. I can't stop you. But I will not recommend a name that I do not think is good at all. I'll go ahead and just leave this here just as an end of the episode thing. If you wanted to see how dull of an episode it's been, again, Slowpokedale is actually pretty good at taking basically kind of doing my job for me and like going through the internet, picking shit, and then just posting it down. Like they beat me to that in that regard. I don't agree with everything they post. I don't think it's all good, but we're at the bottom, and that was it. And my opinion, Primarina was a pretty dud of an episode. Now, I also remember feeling this before because it's like, oh, I had such an easy time coming up with a nickname for Rowlet, and then later I had inspiration for Incineroar. It took me even longer, but I did finally come up with a nickname that I feel I'm happy with for Primarina. So, I don't know, I guess Primarina is just like the hardest to come up with a nickname for out of all of them. But yeah, before we end it, let's go over the spreadsheet. The least popular seal. Aloha. Star Hator. Alright, well they got like suggestions and stuff, but like I don't care about any of it. I don't think any of it's interesting, so end that there. When me and my brother played through Ultra Moon, because we did that, he never got Vanilla Moon, so I had to show him that through a randomizer. The name he went with when he named his was Mermaid Man because of SpongeBob SquarePants. I personally don't care for that one much, but whatever, we're just acknowledging it, just say, hey, there it is. Now, the one I personally decided was the one I'm going to use from now on is, I don't know, it just hit me one day. The Gomon games have this sort of recurring boss that's basically a mermaid, and it goes by the name of Taisamba. It has two different spellings, one with an H and one without. I think I'm going with the one without an H. But that's the one I'm like, yes, 100% will use forever the rest of time. Taisamba's always been one of my like favorite bosses as well, because first of all, the mech fights in Gomon are great, and then just the out of mech fight, you know, that you do in Ryugu Castle, that one was hilarious to me as a kid. So like I got a lot of personal attachment to that boss. So perfect choice. It fits Primarina, never changing it for anything. I'm glad I was finally able to come up with a nickname, even though it took me probably like 4 or 5 years to fucking think of something worth a shit. But again, I think we can do a lot better than what we did today. I think it's kind of fun because, you know, we got a gradual decline in the quality of nicknames. Incineroar was still okay. We still found a lot for Incineroar. We found jack shit for Primarina. We need to step this the fuck up now. Like, now. I'm not surprised that Primarina is the least popular and probably the worst out of the nicknames. Like, I kind of expected that one because I feel like Decidueye and Incineroar are the two more popular choices, so it surprised me. But we could still fix it. Sometimes, for me, if I can think of a good enough nickname that makes me attached to a Pokemon, it actually augments how much I like that Pokemon. Like, I feel like that's kind of the way I felt with Umbreon. I never really gave a fuck about Umbreon before, but when I came up with the nickname that I felt was perfect for Umbreon, and I have this emotional attachment to it, Umbreon's one of my favorite Pokemon. It's weird. I don't get it either, but that's just kind of the way it is sometimes. So, any ideas and suggestions you have, feel free to put in the comments below. Give a thumbs up to the ones you think are good. We can fix Primarina. It might have had an ugly first stage, but it became a beautiful final stage, and we can give it a beautiful nickname to match that. We honestly actually didn't even see that much as far as sound-based nicknames. Like, there was really only the 3, and that was about it. So, like, there's still so much more on just the generic side of things that we could touch as well.